All right, my dudes. So today, for your viewing pleasure, we got this Panasonic CT-27D11E. And I had to write that down because that's a tongue twister for me. So, first thing I noticed with this CRT is it's offensive. Offensive to my eyeballs. It's just the most generic looking CRT I ever seen. Like, this is the CRT that your wife's worried you're going to bring home when you tell her you're getting a CRT. I mean, look at the ass on this thing. Like that ass, man. That's what gives CRTs a bad name. And there's like some sort of like tumor growth looking thing coming up out of the anode cap here, man. I ain't digging it. But I mean, build quality isn't priority number one for me. And while this might be lacking in that, it's got some other things going for it. So stay tuned. So here we are around back. You got the name and you got the date there, 2001. And I did write down the name of this tube. It says in there, it says it's a Panasonic M68LGL061X. So that makes it a Panasonic M tube, which is important to me. And we'll get into that here in a minute. And one of the things I look at when I get a TV is how the manufacturer put together the inputs on the back. And you can learn a lot about how much a manufacturer cares about it based on, like, does the component video have its own audio on it? Like this one does. It's got its own audio. It doesn't share audio with the composite video. However, it only has one S video and it has one composite on the back. A lot of times they'll have like 2 or 3 of those. It does have an audio out on it. So to me, this is like middle of the road. It means the manufacturer cared a little bit about it, but not as much as, say, like a flagship CRT. So this is the crux of the biscuit here, guys. Like, it's nice to have a TV that your wife ain't gonna lose her shit on. But really what's important is those scan lines. And that's what this TV's got going for it, as well as excellent white balance, geometry, black levels. This TV's got it all as far as shadow mask tubes. It's my favorite shadow mask tube. And it's kind of funky how I picked it up. I was looking to get a Panasonic Tau. I wanted a flat screen. I'm kind of a flat screen junkie, but I couldn't find one, and CRTs are drying up. So I thought, well, if I can't get a Tau, I might as well settle for whatever Panasonic I can get that has component video on it. And that's what this one's got. It's got component video. It does have a curved screen. Of course, it's curved in both planes because it's not a Sony. But my God, is this a good looking shadow mask tube? It's sharper than any shadow mask I've ever had before, sharper than my D series. It's, like I said, the black levels, the white levels are excellent. It's geometry is good. I'll show that here in a minute. And it looks shadow masky. Like, I got my Toshiba shadow mask tube that I like, but it doesn't even look like a shadow mask tube. So if you like that shadow mask look, I would say look for one of these Panasonics, man. Don't be scared away by how generic it looks. They got the tube in them. And that's something I've heard. There's dudes out there, talking about their JVC D series, and they want that. The JVC D series have different tubes in them. They all say JVC inside the chassis on the tube. It'll have JVC, stamped on the tube, but they're actually not. They're all like Panasonic and Thompson and Orion tubes and Hitachi. And people want that JVC D series with the Panasonic M tube in it. And that's what this is. It's got a Panasonic M tube in it. So yeah, that would be awesome to get a D series with that beautiful build quality with this tube in it, because this tube's better than the tubes I have in my other D series. All right, quick look at the geometry. It's got excellent geometry. There's a little bump right here and another little bump right there. And if I wanted to bother, I could correct it. Just to show the curvature of the tube, let's turn this beast real quick. Let's see, yeah, you can see how it's curved in both planes. It's curved like this, and then it's curved across in the other plane. It's not too terrible of a curve. It's not as bad as my D series, but it is a curve. It's middle of the road as far as how heavy the curve is on it. There was something else I wanted to say. I don't remember what it was. Oh yeah, the degauss on this beast, every time I move it, it'll discolor like in the corners and stuff, like over here or whatever. And there's no degauss button. You have to let it sit for like 5 minutes or 10, I don't know, and then come back and power it on and it'll degauss. Okay, real quick, let's look at the menu features on this. There's not a whole lot to point out. I don't have the remote on this. It's very basic, which is another point that reaffirms that this is a middle of the road TV. When you get a fancy TV like an XBR or something, they'll have complex menus, or like my Diamond series. But anyways, okay, so the only two things I saw of interest in here, let's see if I can remember. Okay, so there's this color temp, and usually color temp, if you put it on cool, let's see what we can do here. Oh, I messed it up. Anyways, it's got 3 color temp settings: cool, normal, and warm. Normally, if you put it on cool, you'll get like a bluer screen, which actually looks good with movies. It makes skin tones look like skin instead of weird. But on this TV, all cool seems to do is like kind of dim it, almost like what a pro setting would do. And I've actually found that the normal looks best as far as the color temperature. The other thing to point out here is here where it says normal. If you click normal, that will default to like the factory or the showroom floor picture settings with the picture and the brightness jacked up, and it's all garish and it looks ridiculous. Normal should be called whack, not normal. Okay, some final thoughts on this set here. It is 27 inches, and it feels as heavy as like a Vega that's 27 inches, a Sony. It's very heavy. It might even be heavier than a Sony. At least it's comparable. So the sweet spot on these, unless you want to get crazy, is probably a 27 inch, because a grown man can lift a 27 inch one of these Panasonics and he ain't lifting a 32. I mean, if you're like me and you're crazy, you just go for the 36 inchers and, your back be damned. What else to say on this? Okay, so this isn't a TV you're going to hear anybody talking about. Like the D series, people want that D series, or they want that X flat or that Vega or that Diamond series or Diamondtron. And notice there's a theme here. People want the TV that has like a badge on it, like Vega or D series. And that's just something I've noticed. This TV doesn't have a fancy name or a badge on it. It's just the whack ass CT-27D11E, and that's not sexy, but them scan lines are sexy. So there's a lot of TVs out there, I think, that people are just passing up. Like this TV is unassuming. If you saw it on the curb, you'd pass it up, just because it doesn't have a fancy badge, don't be scared to pick it up and play some games. Yeah, I mean, that's going to wrap it up. Go out there and beat some hard games for me, guys.